Well, hi Art 100 Online. It's been a while since I did one of these video updates and I figured it was about time. It's your instructor Melissa, and especially with it being close to midterm, I thought it was a good idea to kind of point out a few things that are coming up, in particular your gallery experience paper, and then a couple of other things that will be coming up in particular after spring break. So let's take a look. Okay, so hopefully you've seen some announcements lately, or at least maybe you've seen it in the coming up or to-do list that your gallery experience essay is going to be due very soon. It's actually due March 13th, which is I believe the Sunday at midnight. And so this is something that you want to be sure you get turned in on time and that it's done properly. So even though I know that we've talked about this earlier in the semester and that I've given you some, some stuff in the orientation and whatnot, let's just kind of go over this just really briefly just to make sure we're all on the same page. So just a reminder, the gallery experience essay does require you to visit a gallery. I know it's implied by the title, but just in case that didn't quite get through, you do have to actually go to a gallery. And the description of the assignment kind of tells you pretty much exactly what I'm asking for. So let's just go ahead and go through it from the top to bottom. So the format, it should be 2 pages, typed in double space with regular margins, so standard. Be sure your name and the assignment title are at the top of the essay. Don't have to include a cover page or anything like that. In the instructions, it reminds you that we have a lot of gallery venues here in the Quad Cities for you to choose from, and that you're going to at least one of these is an important part of the course. So what follows then in the instructions is a sort of bullet pointed list of the things that I want you to include in your essay. However, what I would not like is a bullet pointed list from you of the information. I want you to write an essay that is conversational, that is more of a narrative of your experience, however you choose to do that, but definitely something that has, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and of course an introduction. Thinking of it as an introduction, a body, and a conclusion helps to make it more of an essay format than just a report, right? It's more than a report. We want an essay. We want you to be thoughtful about this experience. But this bullet pointed list, what it does for you is it allows you to have a very clear listing of the things that, okay, these are the things Ms. Hebert-Johnson is going to be looking for in my paper, and I know I need to include these to get a good grade. So things like, what's the name of the gallery? What's the title of the current exhibit, if there is one? Things like the names of the artist, description of the venue, what do you think of the space? And you may notice that these two are actually bolded, 4 and 5. The reason is not because they're in particular more important than others, it's just they are ones that I have noted students tend to leave out, and they're actually very important. I mean, yeah, the name of the gallery, the title of the exhibit is important, but these are the kind of more thoughtful questions actually that I really want you to spend some time on. 4, give a general description of the venue. Do you think it's a commercial gallery? Is its primary purpose to educate? Is there a different purpose? Some of those are clear-cut questions, and some of those, like give a description of the venue, requires some more sort of thoughtful, engaging with the environment, telling me what you think of it. In number 5, it asks you to tell me, what do you think of the space? What's your impression? So this is, again, a real thoughtful part of the assignment, more than just a report, okay? So again, these are bolded, 4 and 5, because I noticed students tend to spend less time on those than say on 7, and I actually would like you to spend at least as much time on 4 and 5 as you do on 7 talking about an artwork. So let's look at 6 and 7 here. At the end of this list, I'm encouraging you to find one artwork about which to speak for a length of time. So it asks you to pick one artwork to write about. Probably one to which you have a strong positive reaction will make for a better essay, okay? And then it asks you to find this information about it, which should be nearby, and how to find it if it's not, and then a list of questions to ask yourself about it. Now this seems like a very large part of the essay, and it sure is, of the description, but it's because I do want to give you a sort of guide for looking at this artwork, okay? But again, I want to go back to 4 and 5 and remind you that talking about the actual gallery space and your experience in it is as important, maybe more important, than talking about that one specific artwork that you like, okay? I hope that's clear. Then down further a little bit, gallery notes. These are just some kind of common sense, some things you may not realize. So 1, Not all galleries are actually open during regular business hours, and sometimes the hours that I've listed, they're not even open during those hours. They may have strange hours. Now, the reason is because in the Quad Cities, mainly galleries are, they're staffed by volunteers for a large amount of the day. And so sometimes those hours have to change. Sometimes I just don't have the most up-to-date information. So it does ask you to kind of, make a phone call, especially if you're going to be traveling any amount of time, or if you know it's going to irritate you if they're closed. Give them a call. Please don't touch or remove artworks. I think you kind of know that, but just a reminder, all galleries are different. Look around yourself first to try to find what you need before you ask an attendant, just because, again, that is part of the experience of being in a new kind of place, right? It's kind of looking around on your own, and it's okay to go to a gallery or a museum and not really know what you're doing. I mean, it really is okay. Hopefully you've gotten that by this time in this class, is that you can just kind of wander around and look around. It is just fine. So try and find the information on your own, get a sense of the space, get a sense of how easy it is to kind of find stuff in the space too. That may be, something I want to hear about as well. And then kind of along with that, please don't ask attendants or artists for a lot of help with your essay. Although they are familiar with my assignment because I've been doing this kind of assignment for a long time, of course they're not there to help you with your assignment. Although I will tell you, most of the people that you encounter will be very, very excited to help you. Just don't ask for undue help. Ask for help if you need it. All right, suitable venues. So this is something hopefully you've already thought about. I see many of you have already actually turned in the assignment, which is great. But if you're still thinking about the gallery, we have a list of galleries in the Quad Cities that are available. I do want to point out the Figge Art Museum, not going to be used for this assignment, right? And you know that because you know by now that the Figge Art Museum is a museum, not a gallery. And actually, we'll have an assignment due at the end of the semester on the Figge. So again, we're not using the Figge for this assignment, right? Right. So where can you go? Well, there's actually lots of choices. We're really lucky here in the Quad Cities. We've got Bucktown Center for the Arts, in which there are a number of different galleries. We've got several sort of Quad City Arts venue spaces, including Art at the Airport, which if you're a person who, like a lot of you, are going to have a hard time finding time, or you're running out of time, the Airport Gallery is actually open till 11 p.m. on regular days because it's open whenever the airport is open. And it's a really nice space too. So that would be something I would recommend if you want to make sure that it's open, and there's always a nice display there. And then there's Mid-Coast, there's the Artery, which is kind of a funky, different, unusual, kind of newer space in Rock Island. And then there's a couple more I want to point out. The Augustana College Art Museum, you're thinking, hey, Miss Hebert-Johnson, you just said no museums, right? Well, yes, but actually the Augustana College Art Museum, they have rotating sort of displays of artwork. That is, unlike most museums, they actually function a bit more like a gallery. It's just usually their artworks are a little more art history oriented. So they have rotating displays of their own collections and collections from other museums. So it changes frequently in a way that makes it much more like a gallery. There's a lot of things about it that aren't gallery-like. They don't represent living artists, but I feel like for this assignment, it probably works real well. So yes, you can use the Augustana College Art Museum. That's the one museum you can use. And there's the Morrissey Gallery at St. Ambrose, their Galvin Arts Center, Kaddish Gallery, which are both good galleries. There's also, if you're closer to LeClaire, there's the Renee Gray Gallery, which is owned by actually a former instructor and a former student from Blackhawk College. So you've got lots of choices. Now, again, just a reminder, since we haven't really turned in an assignment for this before, let's talk about how to turn in this assignment. Okay, so you've saved your document. You've saved it as either an RTF, PDF, DOC, right? One of these file types. If you were to ask me, I would say please PDF or DOC is the best, or DOCX. So you have it saved to your computer, your flash drive, whatever you're using. How do you submit it? Okay, so you click Submit Assignment, and I'm in Student View, so it should look pretty close to this when you do it. And then it opens a little file upload area. So just like when you're uploading a picture to say Facebook or wherever you might upload files, just exactly the same. So you choose a file and it'll lead you to your computer. So I'm going to go on my computer and I'm going to just pick a file to upload just because I want to do this flyer for a poetry event, right? So it tells you what the file is. Hopefully yours says something like Gallery Experience Essay so that you know that it's the right file. You can add another file if necessary. You can leave me a note if you like. And then click Submit Assignment. And then what happens is it takes a moment, of course it always does, to upload a file. And then over here it says at the very top, Submission Turned In. Green check mark means that it's turned in. Even tells you which file it was and the date and time. So that means when you see that, you know it's turned in, you know I have it. It's automatic. Okay, so you don't have to worry about whether or not I've gotten that. And I do want to remind you, these kinds of assignments do need to be turned in through the assignment rather than by email or something. And that's to keep them all together and to keep the grading of the files very consistent for me. Just really to keep me sane. This is really the way to do it. And also then you know that your file got to the place it needed to go. So you may be wondering too, where am I going to find this assignment? Okay, so if you're on your home page, it'll be in your sort of coming up or your to-do list. So you can see that it's down here. But as we know, we don't want to rely on these to-do lists, right? We want to be real proactive. So let me show you where to find it in our assignments. So here we are, syllabus, announcement, modules, assignments. Assignments listed by date. That's fine. We've got everything listed here, including exams and discussions and quizzes, and like, where is this? So we don't want to have to look through all this stuff. So let's click type, and then it'll organize them according to the type of assignment. So we've got papers, exams, unit discussions, etc. Very handy. So here we are, papers, gallery experience, due March 13th, right? So that is where you find the description of the assignment, and that's where you go to turn it in or check on your submission. All right then, well, I hope that helps. There's one more thing that I want to talk about, which is your midterm. I don't know if you realize this, but we are in the middle of this semester. It is week 8, if you can believe it. So that means you're doing midterms for your classes. For this class, we don't have a big midterm like you might have for some of your other classes worth a ton of points. We have another regular unit exam is all. So you'll have exam 2, but you don't actually have to take it until we come back from spring break. Okay, just remember, even though it seems like, oh, great, I have all this time to study, it's also unfortunately a long time to forget stuff, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword to have the exams after spring break. So just be sure that you take advantage of the review materials. So, for example, review for exam 2 actually opens on the 10th, which is just in a few days, so you can use that review to study. The reviews are, they're in modules. Remember, they're in modules with all the other modules. So in your modules right now, I've popped modules or units 1 through 4 to the bottom since we're done with those and we've taken an exam on those. So at the top, you'll find Unit 5, Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8, which are what your next exam are about. And then below it is Exam 2 review. So that'll be right there for you to use. And of course, it's not unlocked yet, but it will soon. All right, so if you have any questions about the upcoming gallery assignment or the upcoming exam for Unit 2, please do let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great week and a great spring break as well.